2, 1. Hi, it is Ronald the Rules Lawyer here with Swing Ripper,
That's me.
another person who covers Pathfinder 2e. Everyone subscribe to his channel as well, Swing Ripper, one word.
True.
Yep, and also give a
True. I'll
like.
post it
Get
in the
this in front of
chat.
more eyeballs. Give this a like. That'll help. But we already have lots of eyeballs. We have 726, in fact, watching this stream, including everyone has 2 eyes. We're going to be in 15 minutes going onto Paizo's official Twitch channel, where James Case and Michael Sayer, 2 of the lead designers of Pathfinder, will be announcing 2 classes that they have been working on that will be coming out in next summer's big rulebook. And I'm going to, as we anticipate this big announcement, I'm going to go over what we know. But one of the clues that was given out was that each name will have 3 syllables and 3 vowels. So I've already asked chat, even before we went live, to guess what they're going to be, and I said wrong answers only. Yes, and Swing Ripper loves his new shark thing. Yes. Okay, so this is their announcement from Paizo's website. You can't see my screen, Sean, but you can just trust me.
I can wait for like to show up on stream after like a 15-second or so delay.
But we also have 2 pictures that are from sketches from, I believe, Wayne Reynolds of these 2 classes. Yeah. Black and white, or more like green and white. The one on the left, the biggest clue we have is a nipple. This person does not have a shirt, apparently, unless they're confusing it with some other organ. And also, that looks like something around their belt that has fur on it. I don't know. Something. And there's a bare arm with a muscle. Possibly tattoos. And so, I know one of the... because this is supposed to be... during Gen Con, Michael Sayer said that these classes would be released as part of a book about the divine war during which one of the gods will die. And so one of the theories is that this will be demigod. Now, full disclosure, about 20 minutes ago, I was checking my email and I found that I got a little press release that's embargoed. I know the names of the 2 classes, but I don't know anything else beyond the names. And I will give 0 comment on whether these names I'm saying are correct or not. I'm going to give a lawyer's poker face.
Okay.
But
and I know
that's
nothing.
one theory. And Swing Ripper knows even less than I do.
Yeah.
The next, because demigod has 3 syllables, 3 vowels. This other one appears to be wearing a lot of scrolls, like rolled up scrolls, apparently. It has big sleeves, but I don't know. Wayne Reynolds and big sleeves are kind of a thing.
Apparently, the entire image is on their Instagram.
Yeah, I saw somebody compiling little stills. We only have 12 minutes until the stream, but if anyone can say more in chat about what
so we have the full sketch on the Instagram. You can just
Omega Rogue LP, thanks for the tip. Told us about this full picture. If you can send it to our chat right now, Swing Ripper, then I can...
I am doing that. Come on, Instagram. I'm just going to give you a screenshot because Instagram is making me do all those sign-in.
I'm looking at it. Whoa! Those are the 2 pictures. Okay. One person is much larger than the other. And yes, it's confirmed, folks. It is a nipple! The other person has weird eyes without pupils and has some kind of ethereal animal nature thing behind it. So people were thinking archivist or animist as other theories. So I saw those, but I want to see wrong answers only in chat.
Yep.
The other things I was pointing out in this Reddit post I made. It was just all the speculation where I went over the history of how they release classes to. They create a production schedule where they have they coordinate their adventure paths, main rulebook line, and Lost Omens books to all kind of focus on a certain part of the world or support each other in some way. So we got Outlaws of Alkenstar and Guns and Gears. Guns and Gears came out a few months before Outlaws of Alkenstar. There's a whole lot of other connections. And so I asked in this thread where I found all these connections and stuff, like, what do we know? And about future releases. And there was actually not much info. It's still too early because all we know is that's a book about the Divine War. And I must say it is interesting that the Divine War is going to be coming out in 2024, and we're having the remaster removing alignment and introducing holy and unholy mechanics. So maybe there'll be more options to support that revision of the rules in that book. What else do we know? I have a transcript of what Michael Sayer said. He said, neither of them has appeared in Pathfinder RPG before, so that's going to rule out a lot of... Pathfinder 1E had like 30 or more classes. Yeah. He also said, quote, "I will tell you that the classes on Iconics were written and conceived of by myself and James Case, who will be presenting today. And I think you'll see quite a bit of who we are in these characters and the way that we have told their stories and presented them." What else do we know in this Reddit thread? I think I shared it in the video description. Okay, but those pictures are our biggest clue. Looks like they released them in parts. It's part of a game to build up hype. We're at 447 viewers, woohoo! But only 93 likes. Increased likes. Not enough. I am hungry. Hey, if I meow at my cat like we did during my drunk stream, maybe Megan will come.
Maybe.
Meow. Meow. Well, it used to work.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Megan's figured out that you're full of something.
But the last time I did it was during the drunk stream. Oh wow, I covered all that territory in 7 minutes. Now we just have to like get hyped up again and right before 4 o'clock, I suppose.
We need to vibe for a bit.
Yeah, we just need to chill.
Talk Pathfinder.
Oh yeah, one of the classes is rare, so that's why people are thinking demigod.
Oh, yeah, that would make sense. Oh,
there is Megan. Demigod. Megan did come, you guys. Come on, Megan.
Meow meow. Yay, Megan! Everybody, can we see some Megans in chat?
Yay.
You need Megans in chat.
See, my theory is that she thinks I'm fighting with the cat, and so she comes to protect me. All right. What's the name of that shark again? Apparently it's...
The Blahaj?
What? The Haj?
It's Blue Shark. Yeah.
Never gonna get a straight answer.
From IKEA.
Okay.
It came from the natural IKEA. I got it from its natural habitat.
I know, Megan is part of the Rules Lawyer channel. She's my paralegal. Why do I always get calls during streams? Ugh.
You know, my username does indeed fit the 3-syllable, 3-vowel structure.
Blahaj. Baby shark. It's Swedish. Oh, there you go. That makes sense. Mm-hmm. 508 concurrent viewers. The thing is, I was gonna be like, are we gonna have more viewers than the official Paizo? But then we have an advantage because we started earlier. Of course, everybody, you'll be hearing what I hear, so you get the same Paizo experience watching me. This is my petty goal of the day, try to get more viewers in Paizo. Swing Ripper. Wait! It does. That's 3 syllables.
Yeah. No, it works.
Rules Lawyer. Maybe we're the new classes, the two of us. Classes. Oh my goodness!
Oh no!
I picked the one with the weird eyes.
Does that mean I get the one with the nipple?
Well, I have nipples too. They're just not showing. Okay, thank you for the.
Okay, so I get the free nipple.
Rage the Promised End says we need a class that knows how to use butts, basic utility tactical traits. Okay. Cool. Oh yeah. Sean Dixon asks the important question: how will they wrestle?
Yeah, that is why I am here, to theorize the wrestler build without actually reading any of the rules, because if I read the rules, that would defeat the purpose of speculation.
Someone says 4 vowels. Wait, you... Huh?
Oh yeah, I guess you have 4 vowels. Rules lawyer deconfirmed.
Oh, there's an E in there.
Yeah.
Silly. Yeah, not me. Oh well, Swing Whipper. I guess this means you made it. So, Swing Whipper has lots of Pathfinder 2e nerdy chat discussions and videos on his channel. Everyone should check him out. Check out his videos.
Ronald mostly focuses on game mastery stuff and very, very large overviews, where I kind of deep dive into a topic in like 20 or so minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And so the scopes of my videos tend to be a lot narrower.
Mm-hmm. Spelled with a random umlaut.
Opinionated.
Oh yeah, strongly opinionated. Yep. Yeah, he's I've told Swingwhipper this. Sometimes I think like we are same brain.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well we're still. What else? I'm just reading chat.
Ooh.
Oh, and I finally did my last caster video. It dropped this morning. Our last one until the next blow up.
Yep.
If people haven't figured it out, I was pushing those out before these classes came out because I was guessing that there'd be less
the discourse would shift.
Yeah. The conversation would move on to YouTube with a big pop-up saying, that would be a good time to insert ads. I don't insert ads on my streams.
I mean, like,
not during the live streams.
My channel banner, looking up the chat for just like a horizontal shark, and then just like some logoing on it, just.
Greetings from Germany. Hallo, ich spreche Deutsch. It's 1:00 where they are.
AM or PM? It has to be AM, right?
AM.
They're too far away.
3:58. Very close. Okay, let's look at this artwork some more. I wonder what's going to be... Okay, the guy on the left looks like he can... a fighter type, and the one on the right's a caster type.
Yeah. And I have both the Paizo chat and the YouTube chat up.
Nice.
I would really like another wisdom-based class, because we are really lacking wisdom-based classes, because we really only have druid and cleric as true wisdom classes. So every class kind of wants some wisdom for the saving throw. So I really, really would like to have another wisdom class, just for the sake of variety when I'm trying fill up parties.
CC says hi from Spain. Yo hablo español también. Und ich auch kann auf Deutsch sprechen.
I only speak English because, filthy American.
Greetings from Poland. Cool. I don't speak Polish. Is the dude on the left an orc? Seems human to me. Guten Tag an die deutschen Pathfinder-Freunde im Chat. Okay, I think it's time to start looking at their official Twitch.
Alright.
Ooh, they have 981, you guys. But we have a fair showing. We're about 70% of that. 60%.
Yeah.
Oh, what is this? Okay,
Ooh, we're in.
chat should tell me how volume levels are. Tell me if we're too loud, whether the video should be louder. 1 a.m. in France. Hello from Russia. Yep, Polynesian vibes from that artwork, definitely.
Definitely.
Greetings from Israel, Italy. Awesome. Mexico. Awesome.
New classes who we are going to talk about today. It's also going to have some exciting new materials that you all have to wait to get details about, but I'm going to give you a couple little tastes of what's to come. This will have lots of archetypes for characters who might want to get involved in a war involving immortal beings. And I had mentioned the last time I talked about this that one of the reasons it was not revealing the title yet was because War of Immortals was a spoiler. One of the cool things you'll notice in a bunch of these archetypes and in the classes is that they have capstone feats that make your characters immortal with a whole bunch of different flavors of immortality. Whether that be the standard unaging deathlessness, whether it be constant reincarnation and rebirth, or all kinds of cool things like that. So that is going to be an awesome amount of content coming your way. And of course, as previously mentioned, the opening of that book is going to involve the death of one of the core 20 deities in Galarian. But that's not what we're here to talk about today. Today, we're here to talk about two new classes, and some of you correctly guessed their names. They are the Animist and the Exemplar.
Animist
I
Exemplar.
am the design lead on the
Animist Exemplar.
And I will tell you a little bit more about her and her abilities soon. But first, I'm going to hand the mic over to James so he can introduce himself and tell you a little bit about his class.
Hi everyone, I'm James Case. I'm senior designer here on the Rules and Lore team, and I will be working on a class called the Exemplar. The Exemplar is a fun class. It is our newest, very combat-oriented class, and they are very larger than life. I know some of you have seen our new Iconic, who I am excited to talk about him when we get to that. But I think let's start with the Animist. Let's just go alphabetically.
All right, Animist.
Yeah, alphabetically works. So, the Animist. Our Iconic here is Samo. Samo of Icemark, a middle-aged Varki woman from the lands of the Linorm Kings in the northernmost reaches of the Inner Sea region. Samo is a Nephilim, a mortal being with a touch of the celestial planes in her bloodline. Some of you may have noticed if you were playing our Instagram minigame that the Iconics have solid colored eyes. They don't have any irises or pupils, and that is because of their extraplanar heritage. That is, they each gain it in a different way. Samo was born with this touch of the celestial in her bloodline, and it gave her the ability to see spirits and other entities that other people could not. So she was selected by the elders of Seer's home at a young age after her abilities helped her save her village from a Kushtaka incursion and was trained in the arts of animism. She was proclaimed a sage, which is one of the two animist practices, the subpaths available to help customize your character.
Has subclasses.
After she successfully bonded with her grandmother's spirit, an apparition known as a custodian of groves and gardens. If you've seen that art there, there's that deer, which is actually an elk behind her that has
like
the growing branches and leaves coming out of its antlers. That is her apparition. So the Animist is a full casting class that has a kind of interesting and unique spell progression that we built to answer a lot of both mechanically ways that people wanted to interact with spellcasters, and then also to tell some very interesting stories that are different than kind of the way we normally tell these.
Oh god, the discourse.
So the big thing that every Animist can do is they can bond with apparitions. Like I said, the one that we depict Samo with there is an apparition of groves and gardens. Her normal spellcasting chassis is that she is a wisdom-based divine caster.
Wisdom-based.
But since she is bonded with that apparition of groves and gardens, it adds primal healing and plant-based spells to her repertoire that she can draw upon. And every one of these apparitions also comes with a cool vessel spell. This is a one-action, sustainable focus spell that gives you a big injection of themed mechanics that allow you to fulfill kind of a key secondary role. So one of the things about the Animist is there have been classes that had spiritual elements, and there have been concepts that have this spiritual element in them in the game before, but none of them quite do what we wanted to do here. None of them quite tell the story we wanted to tell or work in the way we wanted to tell it. Going back to some of my earliest days when I first started homebrewing and stuff, one of my favorite classes in the Dragon game was a class called the Binder. And the Binder had this cool ability to bind with vestiges that gave it these neat abilities, and kind of you always had to do this pact making with them. And conceptually, it was really cool, but it was also kind of limited. You wouldn't always be guaranteed to do the things you wanted to do. And then in Pathfinder in first edition, we had a class called the Medium. And the Medium was similarly this like idea of, I want to make pacts with spirits, and I want those spirits to give me abilities. But again, it didn't quite do what we wanted to do. You had to be in the right environment to get the right spirit attached to you, to do the right thing. And even if you made all of your choices right, like if you picked one that made you a little bit of a fightery type character, you wouldn't actually be as good a fighter as having a fighter there. And
what if you were a grappling type character?
It offered flexibility, but outside of one kind of particular archetype, that flexibility only existed at the start of the day and was really limited to, you know, you kind of having to play a guessing game of what was going to be needed. And even if you guessed right, it didn't exactly give you that like big shot of, oh man, I'm really good at doing this thing that I chose to do correctly. And so taking these elements and learning from them as we've evolved the game, just like we've continuously learned from everything we've done in Pathfinder 2nd edition since the start of the edition, we really dug into how do we make a class that is always going to be good at a particular role, but also have this flexibility to adopt other roles and learn different ways to participate and give new additions to the party based on what they need and what maybe the player wants. If the player wants to change up how they interact with the game, how their character does what their character wants to do. And so leading into that, we created these apparitions, and they are kind of the first building block along with their vessel spells. I'm going to get deeper into the apparitions later on in this, but I just kind of want to touch on the basic spell progression here. You always
it really does feel like they kind of bring their own like abilities with you to kind of supplement your main character. Like it's not only some of the magic, like, you know, they know a little bit about various parts that it would make sense for them to know about. And so they can share not only their magic for in combat, but also just their general knowledge with you. It makes sense an ancient spirit would, you know a thing or two about forests or battlefields or what have you.
Exactly. So that is one thing that your apparition does. They lend you their knowledge. They also lend you their magic, and that magic can be anything that is appropriate to that apparition. They each have their own list of spells from 1st through 9th level that they give you. And maybe if it's a spooky, dark apparition, it gives you some occult spells that are based around sneaking and invisibility and darkness. Or maybe it is an apparition that has primal power and it throws fire and earth and lava around and gives you those kind of spells and abilities. So all of these different things graphed on there, and you have this base pool of slotted spells that you use to put in your divine magic. And then you have another pool of spell slots in addition to that that are granted to you, and you can cast them from any of the apparitions that you currently have bonded with. At first level, right out the gate, you don't have just one, you have two. You choose one of them as your primary apparition, and that's the one where you can use their focus spell.
They're definitely 6 HP
and
class.
You get kind of the most oomph out of them.
They're
and then
saying
you have
too many
another
words
one
for
that
not be
is a
6 HP.
secondary apparition that still gives you some of their knowledge and that extra pool of spells that you can spontaneously choose from. As you go up, you'll gain a third and then a fourth apparition, and all of these apparitions will give you this collective pool that you can use from for those spontaneous slots that graft onto your smaller pool of prepared slots. And so this gives you a huge degree of neat flexibility and options that give you a spell casting methodology that is different from anything else we've put in the game thus far. Then you're going to choose your animistic practice. And this is going to have a really big impact on how you actually want to play in combat. At the beginning of any given day, you can always re-choose new apparitions. You're never locked into the ones that you start with. You can have a favorite apparition that maybe follows through the rest of the game with you. I've been playing a character who was a prisoner for a very long time, and he only had his compatriot was this other person imprisoned with him. And it wasn't until they escaped together that he realized he was the only person who could see his compatriot. That is his apparition, a witness to ancient battles. And whenever they go into battle together, he allows that compatriot to possess him and fight on his behalf, because he's not good with weapons, but his apparition is. And so he has the sage animistic practice. This is the one for when you really kind of want to dedicate to one primary spirit. You become very difficult for anybody else to take control of you or dictate what you do any of your actions or things like that. You get an apparition's possession ability where for one action, you just are like, yo, get in here, homie. And your apparition jumps in, takes control of your body. You become immune to control effects. You become immune to effects that attempt to influence your actions, such as charm or command, unless they're cast by a significantly more powerful character than you. But some of your actions are limited because you can only stride, strike, cast an apparition spell, cast a vessel spell, or use an action that has the apparition trait. And so you get feats that are specifically kind of tied to your apparitions and the ways that they affect and interact with you. And apparition's possession is really about leaning into those abilities and having a spiritual partner who you let them use your body to influence the physical world. That's an important difference between the animist and, say, a summoner. A summoner has an eidolon that is a physical thing that shows up on the battlefield and fights for them. The apparitions that an animist is bonded to, they don't have that ability. They can't take physical form. They need the animist to be their window into the mortal world, their intercessor who does things
it is like
for
Yu-Gi-Oh!
them. And so they very much share their power and their perspectives with each other.
That's really a thing I like in a lot of the kind of abilities, in a lot of the feats. There's a lot of, you really feel like you're having this like entity come into your body to help you do something,
this sounds
or like
complicated.
leave to go.
This sounds like an advanced class,
and you are very much kind of the anchor for
this. I could imagine that they say, "Oh, if you're possessed by this spirit, you get a +2 status bonus to grapple." And I say, "Oh, I just channel my spirit, and oh look, poor man's athletic rush."
Channeler is the answer to like, well, what if I don't want to be bonded to just one apparition? I want to do more of the things. I want to have multiple spirits who are all interfacing with me and all affecting what I do, and I want to utilize all of their power. And so that's where the channeler comes in. The channeler gives you a unique action called Apparition's Whirl. And you can do it one action, once per round in combat. You can change which of your apparitions is your primary. So from round to round, you can be tied to the apparition that gives you blasty magic and really focuses on kind of destructive stuff. And then you can switch over to the apparition that instead gives you sneaky, controlling magic. And you can constantly be bouncing between them to kind of optimize what focus spells you have access to, how you combine them, and how you make this very fluid kind of character. And so those are kind of the
we
two
definitely have a lot to chat
available
about immediately after this.
The Paizo official chat just said something very interesting in their Twitch chat.
One
it's going to be both prepared and spontaneous
entity that they really lean into. And the channeler who really just wants to make as many spirit friends as they can and learn to mix and match and utilize those abilities in unique ways. As you level up, you'll gain all kinds of feats, and we're experimenting with a lot of different ways to utilize and deploy resources here. that I don't think all of these feats are going to make it out of the playtest into the final, because we tried a lot of weird stuff. We've got some feats in here where you have one of your apparitions literally become the wind beneath your wings, and it carries you around and you can fly. But while it's doing that, you don't get to benefit from its knowledge and its spells because it's too busy carrying you around. Yes. You have some other feats where you burn your connection with the apparition entirely, because at later levels, like I said, you'll have 3 or 4 of these that you bond with at the beginning of the day. And so maybe you want to quicken a spell and you need the apparition's power to help you do that. Instead of being limited to once per day or some other kind of time-based usage, what it does is it actually, your apparition sacrifices their bond with you. You use that power to cast your spell more quickly, and then that apparition is just gone. You don't get its benefits anymore until the next time you do your daily preparations, but you still have your other apparition companions, and it becomes kind of a neat way of deciding how much do I want to retain the versatility of having all of these spiritual companions, and how much do I maybe want that spike in power right now of letting one of them sacrifice their bond with me in the moment to give me a surge of potency. So that's kind of what you can be looking forward to here. And now I'm going to jump into my last few minutes of wrapping up here by talking about the specific apparitions I've been using on my playtest Animist. So I've given the cue. Hopefully you should be seeing some slides right about now of these cool apparitions that I'm going to talk about. The first one, if I've set this up correctly, should be the Custodian of Groves and Gardens. And this is the one that you see with Samo, that elk spirit that has the leaves and living things growing from its antlers. And when you bond with a Custodian of Groves and Gardens, it shares its knowledge with you, which gives you the farming lore and herbalism lore skills, and these will automatically scale up as you grow more powerful and are able to access more of the apparition's knowledge. And it gives you a variety of spells, the Tanglevine cantrip, and then things like Wall of Shrubs, Gentle Breeze, spells that really play into that theme of groves and gardens that are unique to it. It gives you a vessel spell called Garden of Healing, which is a cool 1-action, sustained up to 1 minute, 10-foot aura that gives everybody around you little pulses of healing that helps you be really good at keeping them alive and keeping them in the moment. And one of the really fun things about every apparition is, so like a cleric, their big 10th level spell is Avatar, where they become an avatar of their god, right? Well, every one of your apparitions can possess your body, take on its ultimate form, and has its own unique avatar ability. So the unique avatar form of the Custodian of Groves and Gardens is the Elysian Field, which has these non-lethal, high-range abilities that allow you to, fight and impose peace through violence in a way that is appropriate to the nature of this spirit. The next one is the Imposter in Hidden Places. And this apparition is about kind of dark places, sneaky things, making enemies uncomfortable and disturbed. So it gives you fortune-telling lore and underworld lore as the abilities. It knows a lot about these things and can impart that knowledge to you. And it gives you spells like Telekinetic Hand, Hallucination, Invisibility. Its vessel spell, and I know there's a typo here, don't worry, we're fixing it for the release that you'll all have access to tomorrow, is Discomfiting Whispers, which is an aura around you. It's a small aura, but it makes it very difficult for enemies to damage you because it has the misfortune trait, and whenever they try to attack within your aura, they have to roll twice and take the worst result. And if that
these
results
focus
in a
spells
failure,
seem to step
they
up.
also take void damage.
These are some
spirits
potent focus
inflict
spells.
Damage upon them for their
They
failure.
have to be a 6 HP class
this
now.
is really great
they gotta be.
for being a caster who kind of wants to support the party and avoid being
and they probably
damaged
also have fewer spell
themselves.
slots.
Really
this is getting a little crazy.
If they
Unless
get
this is
in
the new
there
power level of
and,
caster classes.
try to take you out of the
I
fight.
hope they buff Oracle.
The next one that we're going to talk about is the Steward of Stone and Fire. And this is very much the apparition if you want to be a blaster. You want to hurt enemies.
Something tells me they're reading the Paizo
the primal
forums,
powers
the
of
Pathfinder
earth
Yeah,
and
no,
fire
I
and
read a
volcanoes
Twitter
upon them.
thread where
So of course you get mountain
different
lore
people are
and
talking about how
volcano
often they read the
lore,
forums and
because
blah, blah,
this
blah.
spirit knows a lot about those things. And it gives
their
you
cantrip's
apparition
ignition,
spells
you
like
guys.
ignition and fireball and of course volcanic eruption and earthquake. It gives you a vessel spell called Earth's Bile, where you create a burst of damaging fire and earth, and then every time you
10-foot
sustain
burst.
this, you do it again. So as long as this is your primary apparition and you're using its vessel spell, you're just constantly causing explosions all over the map and dealing that extra damage. And
Do you
it's
think they're
only a
buffing
single
casters, you
action
guys?
sustaining it.
I think casters may be getting a little bit better. I
spells
mean,
like
I don't
Fireball
know.
and stuff like
You
that.
might need to see
10-foot
what they're gonna
burst
do with
every
other
round
casters.
for one
Constant
action?
Force of nature's destruction.
Oh man,
And this
casters
has one
don't
of my
have good enough
personal
third
favorites,
actions. You know, they don't really get to play at the
avatar
action
forms as
economy,
well.
you know?
Blood of Planets, which is very fast and has a very fast burrow.
You're actually
speed,
validating
more
that
difficult
complaint
terrain.
you just said, because it
Its
seems like they're
melee attack
listening
is
and giving it
avalanche
now.
of molten stones,
Yeah, no,
where
it's-
it just
Yeah.
slams people with a wave of earth or fire.
Caster, yeah,
Its
I
ranged
agree.
attack is
Caster's
cleansing
weak.
eruption,
Caster
where it
bad.
causes a burst of flame
You
at
know?
a very large range to damage people.
Hey, you guys,
And this is the
marshals
version
can't
that you're
do
really
that.
gonna
That's
wanna
not
put in that
fair.
primary
One
slot,
action
because
every
what you wanna
round
do
doing an
is
AoE?
blast and burn and
Yeah,
destroy.
marshals should have their
enemies.
AoE abilities be a single action.
The
I
final
agree.
one,
Buff
before
Inventor.
I hand the mic over to James here, that I want to talk about is the Witness to Ancient Battles. And I was telling you at the start about the character I've been playtesting, who has his buddy who possesses his
Damn
body
it, it's
to
only
fight
attack rolls,
for
not
him.
to also
And
do
that is
athletics.
what this apparition represents.
Unfortunate.
It gives you Battlegrounds lore and Heraldry lore, because it knows a lot about ancient battles, because it witnessed them. And the various forces that might be involved in those kinds of events. It gives you cantrips like Shield and Runic Weapon and Ghostly Weapon.
Well, I guess still works with combat grab.
Its avatar form is the General of Endless Battle, who moves very quickly, cannot be immobilized, and who does not have a ranged attack, but does have a 15-foot melee attack called Final Strike, which is an agile Fatal D12 ability that does 68 plus 6 slashing damage, and it's for when you just want to slash enemies to pieces with your power. And you might be thinking, but Mike, isn't this a spellcaster chassis? Normally, they're not as good at fighting with weapons and hitting things as martial characters are. Well, that's why this gives you the Vessel spell Embodiment of Battle. That apparition comes in and it guides your movements and abilities. It gives you a bonus to your attack and damage rolls. It gives you the reactive strike reaction, so when an enemy does certain things within your reach, you can punish them for it by striking them with weapons. It increases your proficiency and makes you as proficient with martial weapons as you are with simple weapons. Gives you your weapons critical specialization. The price you pay for this, of course, is that this spirit is a being of combat. It's not very interested in magic, and so it imposes a penalty on your ability to cast spells that affect enemies. While you have this thing possessing you, you are not as good at your spell casting as you normally are in exchange for that boost to your attacking power that it gives you.
They count as attacks, but they don't call for attack rolls.
That is a little sneak peek into the apparitions of the Animist, a little bit about how it works and what it does. And a little bit about Samo, who is the iconic representative of this class. At this point, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to hand the mic over to James. 6 HP.
So
James
There's
can
no
tell you
way
about the Exemplar and Nahoa.
All right.
There's no way it's not a 6 HP
so
class.
The Exemplar is the second of the two classes that are coming in this book. And I know one of the things that Mike said up front is that these are classes that have not existed in Golarion before. And the reason that the Exemplar has not existed in Golarion before is because they come to be as a result of the events of this book. Lots of things happen in this book, and some of them change the way that some stuff works. The Exemplar
is it like story time for part of the book? Like we just read what happens?
Come to seize a bit of the divine.
Probably.
They have something called a divine spark within them, and this enables them to accomplish all sorts of powerful abilities and deeds. They are very much inspired by these kind of like folk heroes and larger than life tales from mythologies from all over the world. Going into this, we were looking at all sorts of touch points, like Hercules.
I'm going to dual class with fighter.
Cuchulainn, and Maui is one of them as well. And you can see some of that inspiration here in our new iconic Nahoa. Nahoa is a farmer originally from the Okayo Ocean. This is the ocean that rests between Tian Sha and Arcadia, where we haven't really seen a lot from here before. We do have one of the four great nations of the
so
Okayo,
not east of Asia
people were introduced in P1, and the second is where Nahoa is from. Nahoa is from the Olehala area. He essentially grew up on a very rainy island.
I don't know if Nate is excited by demigods existing or kicking dirt that it isn't past level 20.
But
probably both.
Essentially, his island came to be attacked by this great demon periodically. And so he essentially realized somebody had to come up and stop it, and he did. And in fighting this giant demon, first of all, they both wounded each other greatly. And in the process of this, Nahoa was basically claimed some of this power and became a Nephilim in the process. One of the things with the remaster that we have is that the newly reimagined Nephilim versatile heritage allows you to have, the influence of other planes, and not necessarily in the way of heritage. So while Samo was born a Nephilim, Nahoa became one as part of this process. And then, as he fought this giant demon, they essentially crash land much closer to the inner sea, and that's how he ends up there.
I wonder how a rare class will be in a balanced
that falls
system.
Out of the sky when a god is ripped in half. I'm just going to give it to y'all right now, so you can just dwell on that for a while.
I hate when that happens. That happened to me when I was going to work the other day. I love this character design a lot. This sort of Pacific Islander art is something I've always it's something I grew up with. I find very striking and cool. And I remember we did, as always, both of these character designs are by Wayne Reynolds. Everyone knows Wayne. And Wayne's designs have always been something that I wasn't really able to visualize with this. I was like, well, Pacific Islanders don't wear a lot of, they don't wear plate armor. They don't wear all this other stuff. So we worked together along with our art director on this project, the always awesome Sonia Morris. And I think this design is super cool. I'm really into it.
I like the design a lot.
A little bit Hawaiian, a little bit Tongan, and I just think he's super cool. So, yeah.
The rattan style armor, we talked a bit about how probably in game that's going to use the same stats as Leaf Weave, because the Exemplar has that light armor proficiency, and that matches up very well with the kind of appearance and everything there. So
yeah.
You can't have a folk demigod hero with lots of armor
that we wanted to, if you want to have really high quality weapons and armor, and we will get into the weapons they use in a little bit, don't worry. You can do that, but we also want you to just be, a kid in a normal toga with a normal spear who just can wreck stuff with it. So they are just as good unarmored, and they're just as good with simple weapons as they are more powerful ones. So if you want to just use
love that.
A normal spear, a sling, one of these more basic weapons, you will be able to do that. So yeah. So that's what an Exemplar is, but what do they do? They have this spark of divine power, and the main thing that this spark does is that they can use it to basically, it is great, it is very powerful, and they can focus it through specific sacred vessels called icons. So every Exemplar has 3 icons. One is on their body. It marks them as something with a touch of extra in it.
Samson's hair.
One is something they wear.
Nipples.
And one is a weapon they use to kind of carve out things onto the world. I think we have some examples on the next slide here. And as an Exemplar, you will have these 3 places that you can place your divine spark.
Nice.
And each icon has what's called an immanence effect and what's called a transcendence effect. As long as your spark is in that icon, it's constantly powering it to perform some sort of heroic ability. The first one here we have is called Skin Hard as Horn. This is, you may see the inspirations here. This makes your skin harder to break with weapons of some kind, but there's also one unprotected spot on your body, so it doesn't apply against crits. And as long as your divine spark is invested in your skin in this way, you have resistance. you can also essentially burn your divine spark through one of your icons to transcend mortal limitations for one brief act. If you do this, it typically gives you some sort of cool ability, and then the force of this blasts your spark out of that icon and you put it in a different one. So in this way, you have a wide suite of abilities that are done from calling on your various kind of divine implements in this way. And, combat may start and the enemy is far away, and you may place your spark into your sandals. They'll make you go fast. You close the gap with a burst of speed, and doing this places your spark into your weapon, and then use that to strike in some sort of cool maneuver. And now you're up in the enemy's face, and so you think that your spark should probably go into your body where it can best protect you against harm. And so in this way, you have a number of cool abilities, but you always have to be kind of thinking a little bit ahead. But no matter what you do, you'll have these kind of, they're a little bit more powerful, but they're also ones that you have to kind of, you won't always be able to do them, in much the same way how something like the Kineticist has powerful abilities, but that they can use relatively freely. You can use these abilities relatively freely as well, but you just have to be sure that, you have to power up your weapon before you can, hurl it at them in a blast of lightning or something. The other
these themes of versatility that move between them, this is really a shared thing of both classes. Both classes have these kind of cool mode change abilities. They have this ability to kind of move and adapt to different situations, and they do it in different ways, but it's very much this kind of coordinated theme of both these books. The system has reached a certain level of maturity, and so it's really exciting to be able to give people kind of this greater degree of control and flexibility over what they're doing in combat, and emphasize different strengths and options based on how they want to adapt to the battlefield.
Yeah. And, going through the kind of inspirations we have here, if you go through mythologies, you have heroes, but you also have the objects that they're associated with. You have Mjolnir, you have like the Rubang, these kind of things. So the other two we have here are the Noble Branch. This is any spear weapon. It's deals additional spirit damage. This is a good time to note that this, like everything we have going forward, is very much remaster compatible. And spirit damage is something new coming from the remaster. It has to deal with just pure kind of spiritual energy in this way, and it is very much traced through both of these classes in a way, which makes sense. These are classes that interact with the divine, they interact with apparition.
I assume they both can be sanctified.
And the third one we have here is the Victor's Wreath. This can be either headwear or a sash, just depending on what suits your fashion a little bit more. And this one gives a little bit more of a supportive benefit. And you'll see kind of this theme throughout some of the icons, where the weapon icons are a little bit more offensive, the body icons are a little more defensive, and the worn ones are a little more utility. So you pick 3 of these at first level, and they become part of your character. If you want to apply runes and such to your weapon, you can do that. All that means is that the weapon that you've been kind of tying to your legend becomes more powerful as it goes along. One little touch I like about these is that you don't buy them at level 1, which isn't really a whole thing, but I like the idea that if a spear is going to be part of your legend, you may just wake up the night that you become an Exemplar, you may wake up and just find yourself holding on to a spear, a sash, and that sort of thing. This is not the only thing that Exemplars have to express their concept also. The one thing that we touched on kind of early in this process was the idea of epithets. So as your Exemplar grows more powerful in level, they will also gain epithets. These start quite small. I think the first ones that you get are all just something like brave or cunning, or my personal favorite, which is mournful. And then they become a little more florid as you gain higher and higher level, as you've had a chance to do more deeds. This one here is called Whose Cry is Thunder. This is not Nahoa's, but this is one that I like a lot. So Whose Cry is Thunder basically connects your deeds to the sky. This can mean that any spirit damage you deal with any of your abilities, you can decide instead is electricity damage, because it's crackling lightning. This means that this gives you an ability that powers up your weapon. Anytime you crit with your weapon, light strikes someone nearby. which I think is good fun. And it has the
oh no, they're cutting
weapon in a way that turns it into a blaze of lightning. So the ones we have for the playtest, I'm just going to run through here, is we kind of wanted to hit the classics. So we have our Lancy Sky, of whose cry is thunder, born of the bones of the earth, and restless as the tide. And then the last one we have is Peerless, what's it called? Peerless Under Heaven, I believe, which is our war one. And then you will, much later, you kind of get them in the middle, and the beginning, middle, and end of your career. And later you'll have one that speaks a little bit more to your destiny, things like Teacher of Heroes. And that's very much the way that this class kind of looks at those kind of ancient myths. And this is a theme you'll see a little bit in the book. We won't get into it, but it's, if you're a hero, what is kind of the arc of your story. So if you're GMing or you're playing a character, and say, you might want to say, talk to your GM. Say you're interested in taking something like Whose Cry is Thunder, and you're a relatively low level hero. This might be something where you talk to your GM about, like, how would you earn this epithet? Maybe you find yourself in a great battle where at the end you let out a war cry, and as you do, the sky echoes, and then when you get to the appropriate level, you may have earned this name. Maybe you sing very loudly. Maybe you're the one who cries to let everybody know that danger is coming. But we wanted to give this epithet as a thing you can do in story to kind of build towards your power-ups that you're looking for later, not just in terms of I want these cool abilities, but also how does this fit into my story. This is also the rare class, in case that wasn't quite apparent yet. The class is new on the face of Galarian, and they are affected by a rare element in that way. So this class is the rare class. We try to keep it at about the same level of power and narrative interaction as any of our other classes. But because of this kind of tie-in, we thought it appropriate to add this trait onto
you don't want
class.
everyone to say,
yeah, no, you don't want to have the
demigod
demigod class.
Oh
yeah, no,
the feats a little bit.
We both GM'd Ron. We both know what type play that attracts.
And I don't say that because I helped write a couple of them. I say that because they're just so cool.
So the inspiration of this class is very much global mythology, and you'll see that in a lot of these feats. Many of these will do things like, they can gain reactive strike at a higher level with a feat if they want. They can claim bits of domain magic if they want. Many of them will give them additional supernatural abilities or other abilities they can add to their icon. So even if your icon does not have a static ability the whole time, it has something reliable you're always going to love. But something like Leap the Falls here, just as long as your body is empowered by divine energy, turns out so are some of your athletic feats. Then you have ones that can empower your weapons and give them new abilities. Binding Serpent Celestial Arrow allows you to fire an arrow that transforms into serpents that bind your target. These are a little Celtic and a little Hindu, respectively. Mike and I have a fair range of historical knowledge between us. We also worked with a couple of cultural consultants who were able to kind of give us some recommendation in that area. And so we're really hoping that this is a class that takes all of these global kind of myths and lets you put them together into one really awesome kind of heroic character. Yeah, so that is the Exemplar.
Much to discuss.
I think, everybody was guessing
so much to discuss.
Demigod class, and we were like, oh.
No,
you're getting pretty close.
But you're close, yeah.
That's so sick. I think both classes look sick. I have balance concerns about,
I think we're going to have Rue potentially maybe joining us to see if we have some questions from the stream.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are questions from the stream. We don't hear Rue.
I can hear you. People
Rue.
in Twitch,
we want to hear
Rue.
Rue.
Can you hear Rue?
We need to hear Rue. Steve is very angry at this.
Getting a lot of who dies, which I don't know. You'll have to.
They're not going to tell us who dies. Of course they're not.
We cannot hear Rue. Okay.
Rue is working on
I'm gonna read chat.
bringing themselves into the chat, folks. So we will have that adjusted.
Technical difficulties.
So if you
Let's
have questions, now would be a great time to drop them in.
Get them queued up.
That
He's
should
back.
have fixed that. I think I am audible now.
We can hear Rue.
And I have my nice document of your questions. Thank you so much to our mods in the chat who have been keeping questions about these classes in the chat
I
for
was
me.
going to
since
join
I've
in
been
on
running
the.
tech. But I'll just
Rue.
kind of pop between them. If there's any particular questions y'all want, if you have the document open, you can highlight them for me, and I'll go for that next. And I am going to... Sorry, I'm scrolling down. Start with... Can you switch out your spirits to get different apparition spells for the Animist if you're dual tradition?
Yeah, so you have 2 apparitions by default that you can bond with at the start of each day. You can choose from any of the apparitions available when you do that. Then, depending on which tradition or practice you have, that'll affect how easy it is to change which one is your primary. If you're a sage, you can only change your primary outside of combat during a 10-minute rest, because you actually have to go through kind of a process of rebonding to the other apparition. And so from the 2 you start with, you can swap to the second one and make it your primary during that break. If you are the channeler, you can use that action that is kind of the main ability of taking that path to switch them as a single action round to round. You can constantly juggle between them. As you go up in levels, you get more of those apparitions, but changing them is the same thing. If you're the sage, changing your primary is a thing you do outside of combat. If you're a channeler, changing between them is the kind of core functionality of the thing. Now, once you've chosen your apparitions during your daily preparations, those are the only apparitions that you have access to that day. You can't choose 4 and then during a short rest choose 4 completely different ones, because that would just get a little bonkers and your character wouldn't have very much identity in any given session. So there are some kind of rails that exist there to keep that fair and a easily adjudicated experience for both the player and the GM. But you do have a lot of flexibility within that.
Awesome. I'm going to bop over to James and Krasimia. Oh, also, if I pronounce your username wrong, I apologize. Krasimia asks, does the Exemplar have any healing?
The Exemplar is mostly a class that's based around beating up enemies. And so many of their abilities are in service of this. So they have one of the icons allows you to heal yourself. They don't have a ton of healing of their allies. They do have a feat called Fish from the Fall's Edge that allow them to, if an ally would be reduced to 0 HP, they can kind of pull them back from the underworld. But it is a relatively higher level ability. But this is less your healer class, and this is much more of your frontline combatant class. And that's a dynamic that you'll also see throughout the book in kind of how Nahoa and Samo interact throughout the book. These iconics are very much concepted at the same time to kind of move through this book together. So, Mike and I have talked a lot about cool action shots to have our RT team work on.
I want more clarity on the prepared and spontaneous.
Yeah, if you've ever listened to me
use
the word cinematic constantly when talking about class and character option design.
They're getting so many questions in bright colors.
Mike, for you, does that mean at higher levels with different apparitions, you'll have up to 8 lore skills at once?
It does mean you will have access to a lot of lore skills, yes. And y'all can let us know in the playtest whether that is just right or too much. A lot of this
is going to devolve to people reading the thing.
I figure lore skills are generally kind of so specific that it shouldn't be overwhelming for you to manage
we're going to get Zagreus build.
You know
That's true.
What your apparitions are, and you know what they're kind of into.
Magus
so if it comes up, you know that you're going to have it covered, and you'll be able to make those checks.
Didn't even think about that, but I should have.
But yeah, it does mean that, and we're looking forward to hearing what that means for all of you as you play test these classes and try them out.
Yeah, I've got over 100 hours in Hades, so it should have come to mind.
We have can I expand on what weapons are available to a weapon icon?
Yeah. So this is true of all of the icons. They don't say that this specifically has to be this one magic item, or that this specifically must be this must be a +1 dagger or something. We want to still give you, like, a large part about expressing your identity as any sort of martial character is kind of what weapon you pick. So we still wanted to give you those options. So the icons are more like categories. The one we showed was Noble Branch. This is very spear-based, so that uses more like a weapon group to determine it. There are others that use other qualifiers. Let me pull this up because I have all the info right here. You have other ones like Fated Shot is for ranged weapons, and it's literally just, it works on any ranged weapon. And you have others that are something like the Gleaming Blade is any weapon that is in sword or knife group. And then the Titan's Breaker is any weapon that's club, hammers, or axes. So we're looking at a couple of different ways to make it so that the icon abilities are not so generic they seem like they don't really have any identity. They still feel like you're using that weapon. But, if you want to use this using specifically a greatsword or a dagger, or even something like completely different, like an Urumi or something, it'll work. You can still take something that like deals with, you just have to have a weapon that deals slashing damage. So hopefully in this way we have the specificity there dialed in to the point it's fun, but also you have a lot of choice. And if you think that it needs to go up or down, please fill out the playtest surveys. Let us know.
I'm gonna switch back to Mike, and then after this I've got a couple for both of you. So for Mike, are all of the focus spells sustained for 1 minute with something fun happening when you sustain it, or do some of them have other effects?
All of the focus spells that folks are going to be playtesting are one action to activate, sustained up to 1 minute, and so they're all built around that same dynamic. I suspect you'll get a bit of a feel for why when you're playtesting, because it really is made to click into those two practices in a very particular way. Make sure that you have good, solid, fun ways to use your third action while also being able to cast spells and do all the things that the class also wants to do. So yeah, they all do follow that one action and then sustained up to 1 minute paradigm.
Awesome. I'm going to put a little bit of a marketing stop to everyone in the channel. James and Mike are not allowed to tell you who dies and who doesn't. I will be very sad if they do. So sorry that I will be ignoring any questions of that regard. For both of you, what are your guys' favorite feats from each class?
Okay.
This is a good question.
Oh, I have
James,
one,
yeah, you go first. You go first.
Okay. This is I don't think it's not a max level ability, but it's very high for Exemplar. At the lower levels, when you upgrade your icons, they tend to only give one ability, and at the high levels, we kind of take that restraint off. There is a high level feat called 7-Colored Cosmic Bridge that basically has your weapons scatter rainbow-colored light everywhere when you hit.
Oh my god, it's hella gay.
Teleport along with that light to anywhere near the enemy. Its transcendence ability is called Fleeting Arc Through Heaven and Earth. It is a giant beam of rainbow energy that blasts everything in a cone, and then you teleport along with it as well. Ooh. So this is very much inspired by the Bifrost kind of Norse mythology and that sort of thing, but also something that we wanted to bring into the game in a way that, we can hopefully render in a way that takes those themes of, light being fleeting, transporting through space, into the way that makes sense to blast out your weapon in a giant cone. So yeah. It's quite high level,
cool.
Though. Yes. So
by blast, someone says.
We had just a lot of fun while we were doing this.
Yo.
But one of the things the apparitions give the Animist is these cool wandering feats. where you can change out feats at certain levels, like 12th level, to adapt to the apparitions that you prepare that day. So if you have a feat that is tied to a particular apparition, and then you don't want to use that apparition one day, you can also swap out the feat at that level to either be a generic wandering feat or to match one of the new apparitions that you bonded to. And one of the kind of fun ones there that is tied to the imposter in hidden places in particular is Shadows Within Shadows, which is a reaction you get. And if you would be detected by an enemy seeking you, or an enemy would succeed at a counteract check to end a spell you have used to make yourself hidden, concealed, invisible, or undetected, then your attuned apparition is just like, no, and it forces the enemy to re-roll the triggering check and take the lower result. So it makes it really hard to counteract your invisibility and your sneakiness while you are protected by an apparition whose shtick is specifically being sneaky.
I have this image of the Chowers specifically as like doing their daily preparations. They've just come to
just
a large forest from, I don't know, they were in a desert beforehand, and they're just sitting down at the beginning of the day, and you just see this like wheel of apparitions around them, and they're like, I will pick this one, kind of a thing. They have that and that wandering ability lets you very much like bring that flexibility in. I think that's cool.
Yeah. I'm gonna add one more feat, because I mentioned that everybody has an immortality capstone ability, right? Both of these classes have their own unique form of immortality.
I want to hear one of them
as well. And so the Animist is Eternal Guide, which has a frequency of once per week. The spirits who guide you carry your soul back to the community you call home. Choose a single settlement with a population of at least 100 people. Whenever you die and are not returned to life within 24 hours by other means, as long as the settlement still exists and there are no other claims on your soul, such as a contract with the devil, and nothing trapping your soul, such as being slain by a soul eater, your attuned apparitions magically transport your soul, remains, and all of the items you had worn or carried at the time of your death back to the chosen settlement where you are reborn. The nature of this rebirth varies between animists. Some magically reinvigorate their physical forms to return to life in their original bodies, while others pass their knowledge and power on to a new inheritor who effectively takes their place in the grand story of existence. Regardless of the exact nature of your rebirth, you or your inheritor are fully restored with your level, experience, and equipment intact 1 week after your death. If you choose an inheritor and their ancestry is different than yours, your attribute modifiers don't change, but you can freely retrain your ancestry feats and any other feats that relied on them as prerequisites as part of your rebirth.
That's so sweet.
That's so cool. I'm so excited.
That's so nice.
There's no limit to the number of times you can be reborn, but if you die before a week has passed since your last rebirth, neither you nor your returned apparitions have recovered enough energy to complete the process again, and your soul passes to whatever final reward it has earned. So if you play a little too fast and loose with your own mortality, it can end up causing you to no longer be an immortal, constantly reborn being. But as long as you don't constantly throw yourself into the grinder, you can just continue to carry on your story and be an animist into perpetuity.
So each class
one of my questions on here was about immortal capstone feats. So thanks for pulling that in. Before I move on, do you want to share?
Okay, that's how the immortality is being handled. I'm really happy and really excited.
Yeah. So the Exemplars is a little more in the moment because they are very much get up in your face character. Theirs is just called The Place Beyond Mortality. This is just one of those that like you just cease aging when you die, and this is one thing that we're experimenting with the optional kind of focus points, much like Monk has for this class. And just like when you would die, you can burn out all of your focus points and not die. You just can't. You can still only do it once a day, So, but like,
but wait, how is this different from
when you heal yourself? You immediately stand back up, and
immediately
you summon
get back
all of your
up.
armaments back to you, and then you can immediately empower whatever of your armaments you want. So, it's very much
you're just
that
full
like
strength right there.
HP bar goes down, HP bar comes back up, kind of feat, which just makes it a little more sense.
Your eyes
you
open.
Killed me once. Go again.
What happened?
So sweet
Did it
for
stop?
A
Did
character.
the stream stop for you, Sean?
The stream stopped for me as well. However, I still want to talk about the brawler thing. Because, like, that's such a sick thing. Because, like, you see in video games all the time where you kill a boss
Yeah,
and
and
they come
something
back
that
up,
makes maybe a
all
little
their
more
weapons
sense
are
for
not
frontline
extra
combatant
glowy,
versus like
and
a
they have the health bar
storytelling,
reappear, you know?
kind of thing.
James, could you build an exemplar to be stealth-based?
Yeah.
I'm not. They do not have many abilities in the playtest that are attempting to have them be stealth-based.
Yeah.
No!
A lot
You need to
of
know.
their
Exemplar
stuff is
seems
very up
big
in the
and,
face.
the
You know,
concept
heroes
seems a little
live
counter to the
bigger
concept
lives
to
than
me.
anyone else. Kind of
However,
thing.
they did have an
That
archery
being
feat.
said,
And they have an archery
they
feat.
do have a
I
couple
have
of
a
ways to
build
get.
right here for my sneaky exemplar I was
I'm
playtesting
getting
just
there,
the other
man.
day.
Let me get there, man. They do have some abilities. One of the top epithets is called Thief of Moonlight. This snatches the light from enemies' eyes that makes them dazzled or unable to see, which, I mean, that's one way to sneak. You're not hiding, but also if you use their transcendence ability, it's called All That Shines Belongs to Me. It makes you invisible. People you pass near
They're
become
doing the cool
blinded,
names, Sean.
and
Yeah.
the more people whose light you steal with this, the longer the effect goes on. There is also the kind of one feat that is based on Hawaiian and also Chinese mythology in this is called Sunwrecker, where you literally attack the sun. This casts darkness on everything around you and also gives you dark vision. So that is another way to affect stealth in this class. So they can be stealthy, but only in ways that are very bombastic.
Since a few folks have asked,
Yeah,
I
rogues
think we
hide
mentioned it at
in
some
behind a
point,
rock. I'll
but
attack
could you
the
give
sun.
The key ability scores
I attack
and
the
hit dice
sun.
for both of these new
What?
classes.
Yeah, so the
So
Animist, like I
sick.
mentioned earlier, is a wisdom-based divine caster, so
6
their
HP con.
is wisdom, and they are an 8+ con HP character.
Exemplar is a frontline combatant, so there's a strength or dex, and they are also kind of meant to get hit a lot to some degree, so they have 10+ con.
Okay, they have to have fewer
as
slots
their
than
hit
normal.
points.
They have to.
And then
Like Psychic.
some of the
Or Magus.
and then some of their none of their accounts.
When you have
way.
that apparition, do you have only
affect
that
their
one
durability in some
spell
ways.
for rank 1? That
For
was
Michael,
Maybe.
What was the reason for
That's
having certain
big.
vessel spells affect all creatures
Suddenly
in
we
the
have a new
animation
best
instead of all
grapple caster.
allies or all enemies?
Competes with Cleric and
A
Druid.
lot of the vessel spells are very potent, and so they use kind of the standard design paradigms for these more aggressively tuned kind of abilities. We really wanted to allow people to experience, kind of the far edge of this and have some tactical elements. We may rein these in or dial them up post playtest. It's one of the reasons we do the playtest is to hear from you all on what you think. But what we really wanted to do was kind of be able to give the most, as James said, bombastic and kind of awesome version of these abilities, and getting to that kind of upper edge of how fantastic and cool they can be means they can't be as discerning as maybe a less effective or less efficient ability might otherwise be.
Yeah, it's very much for the playtest is, we have a sense of where sort of the boundaries are for all the classes we've done in the past, and we kind of, we want to try and find new ones, and that means we have to go a little outside, and I'm sure some of these are strong and some of these are not, and we're hopefully gonna find that out by having everyone play through them.
You could play Icarus,
Also, I
but the
just
sun
wanted to
got
hear
too
about what
close to
characters
you.
everyone builds. That's always, I will be lurking the forums for that information.
That's me too. This is a question that's also important to me as a person. Are there any pets, animal companions, or followers available for either class?
It is not a standard feature of the Exemplar. That might be something that we think about later. The Exemplar right now is very much in this space of they are very much a part of their kind of adventuring party, but they are not a pet class per se, as it were.
Yeah, nor is the animist. Like I was saying with the apparitions, the kind of fundamental divide that the animist walks is that their apparitions do not have the ability to affect the physical world without them, and the animist is given their window into the spirit world and that power via the apparition. So we wanted to keep that line very clean, and as such, there aren't any pet options in this playtest for the animist.
We're getting close to the end here, and I want to end with a kind of fun and silly question. Vanessa asks for no direction. How are each of the classes like Batman?
So the Animist, I think, is like Batman in that as long as Batman knows what he's getting into, he will have an array of tools available for every situation. And once you've got your full suite of apparitions at play and you have all of your other abilities that click into them, an Animist is going to be able to, in the moment, have a really excellent solution that they can draw upon to take out the bad guy as it is called for.
The Exemplar is like Batman in that even though Batman is very sneaky, you always know when Batman is here because Batman shows up, the lightning dramatically flashes against the Art Deco buildings in the background. You see the silhouette, and then he proclaims that he is Batman, and then stuff goes down. In this way, the Exemplar is... the Exemplar is a class that I think we want to lead into that same sort of very kind of cinematic atmospheric type of thing. Batman also uses many tools, which the Exemplar has in spades. So if you were Batman, what would you do? I don't know. Your cape would be an icon. Maybe your grappling hook.
Your utility belt, maybe?
Your utility belt just is one of your divine relics.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be like...
Before we close out today, I want to take a moment to
pre-industrial
hand the mic to James for some current events that I believe he wanted to touch on.
Yeah. So this is the first time that we've kind of done an icon, heavily inspired by Pacific Islander culture. I was born and raised in Hawaii. I grew up, my grandfather's native Hawaiian. I don't know if some of you have seen the news. There was a very destructive wildfire in Lahaina, Maui that has really done quite a lot of damage recently in the past. So if any of you are wondering how you might reach out to help, if any of you like the Exemplar, I would maybe ask that if you're able to, you maybe slide maybe a cost of a cup of coffee worth of donations. You can look at either Maui Nui Strong, which has a good list of resources that you can kind of pick and choose from, as well as places to donate physical supplies, etc., or the Hawaii Community Foundation Maui Strong Fund, which is a great way to get kind of funds just to people. And that's all. I just wanted to bring that up since it's a recent thing, and it seemed a little odd to have a very cool, large luau boy here and not say something about my home. So that's all.
Yeah.
I wanted that to be the last thing we went out on, but I forgot to say something earlier. So I do have to throw out real quick an important thing for our partners. There will be a module on Foundry available tomorrow that will allow full class builds of both the Animist and the Exemplar for people who use Foundry. And then our partners at Demiplane will also be hosting a free character builder. So you'll be able to go set up a free Demiplane account and test out the Exemplar and Animist using their character builder. I wish I had said that before James's thing. So
I'd rather lead on a more fun note.
So thank you both for being here and talking about your classes. If folks would like to find you on the internet and you want them to, where can they find you?
We've all been there.
In so long as it continues to be worth my time and I am not driven away, you can find me under @MichaelJSayer1 on Twitter, and that's kind of currently my primary social outreach. I'm looking at diversifying outwards, but I'm doing it slowly. So
I am on Twitter at a handle that does not translate to speech very well, but you will find it because I will repost the thing, and I am also on Blue Sky as James Case. And I am also lurking in all of your Discords and Reddits, so I am also there.
And I am on Twitter as @LanaKnight13.
We're going to keep on chatting about class, but away from
Knight, and I also
for a little bit now.
work on the marketing Paizo channels. So if you're talking to Paizo, there's like a 20% chance you're talking to me. Who knows? But yes, thank you all again for coming to our playtest stream. And the playtest drops tomorrow, right? What time, Michael?
I believe we are going to go live, and you'll be able to start downloading the playtest at 10 a.m. off of the Paizo.com site, and there will be a landing page set up specifically for that. So I want to probably grab the remaster package that we put up on the website alongside Rage of Elements, because certain spells and other options from that are used in the playtest.
Wonderful. And I hope you all have Pacific time. Yes, 10 a.m. Pacific time.
Sure.
Yes.
I also forget the time zones. But yes, so thank you very much for joining us, and thank you, James and Mike, for taking the time to talk to us today. And be sure to come back tomorrow at 4 p.m. also Pacific time for Paizo Live, where we'll be talking about some of our upcoming products for Paizo with more of our creatives. Good evening, everyone.
Thanks all.
Woo!
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk.
Talking.
Yeah, about the Animist, then the Exemplar, big things, small things. So the Animist, help me get the details down. Like, I was a little distracted by the volume levels and dealing with the stream.
Yeah.
But it apparently is a prepared divine caster with 8 hit points per level. Yep. And they're able to get 1 or 2. I could be getting this number wrong. What's the word? Spirits? Apparitions?
Apparitions, I think, was the term.
Apparitions that do not have physical form, and depending on your subclass, you have different levels of ability to switch between them. You can only have one at play at a time, and they also, while it exists, you get a focus spell, assuming you have a focus point. I guess you have a pool of 1 point, and they also come with each has their own cantrip and 1 spell per spell rank. Christopher G says prepared divine slots, 2 apparitions, spontaneous apparition slots. So it's not clear to us yet how many prepared slots they get and how many spontaneous slots they get. What's interesting to me is that it's possible that you can only use your spontaneous slots when you have an apparition present, and that they only give you 1 spell. It seems like, on the one hand, you have this prepared divine list, which could be the whole gamut, like 300 plus spells, but the apparitions give you more focus, which is one complaint about casters, like you have, just too much to... Like, the apparition lets you be, I want to be a fighter, more of a fighter. Or they're pretty clear about each one's mechanical role. This is the blasty one. There was one that was healing. And those focus spells looked quite strong. All of them were 1 action and could be sustained up to a minute. One of them did a 10-foot burst of damage, 1d4 plus 1d4, that you can keep sustaining over and over. Another one did a radius of healing, 1d4.
10-foot emanation.
10-foot emanation.
For a single action.
All living creatures, I believe, for a single action. Someone in chat noticed, okay, I see what they're trying to do here. That there's been, in the caster brouhaha, people wanting to have more single action spells. This might be an answer to that. At the same time, I did see a comment saying that once you sustain that spell, once you cast the spell, your action economy, if you want to continue to do two action spells, cantrips in the future, you're going to be standing there in place. You're going to be pretty restricted, which is a trade-off, but I'm not sure that is something they wanted.
I think that's part of the class balance, because if their slots are fewer in quantity, because they need to take power budget out of somewhere for this, right? Like, somewhere.
Yeah,
and
I guess the theme is you're kind of standing there with your eyes like trying to channel.
Yeah, that, or you're not casting a spell and then you're moving around doing battle medicine, and then could see this class being a spellcaster that does not lean on slots very hard at all. Like, maybe they throw up a buff spell, then they just kind of like do their Garden of Healing thing, wandering around.
Right.
And
the fact that your focus spell is quite powerful, like when the initial preview of the remaster came out, and there was all that uproar about Ignition, one of my early videos and one of my initial reactions was, well, we haven't seen much yet about the remaster. Maybe they're trying to buff focus spells as a counter.
And maybe they're trying to buff something else about casters. And
yeah.
They're bringing focus spells up to that kind of caliber for a variety of classes. Like, we don't know quite exactly what's going to change for things like the Wizard and Druid focus spells. So
I don't know if they are at all. I'm thinking that at least for these new classes that they're playtesting, because the things went out to the printer for the remaster already, like months ago. It takes months for the ships to come from China.
Yeah.
But a person who's able to do a 2d4 10-foot burst blast every turn, every combat, and cast 2 action spells while they're doing that for every combat of the day if they rest every 10 minutes, for rest 10 minutes between each fight, that's that delivers. Someone
sure
also
does.
mentioned okay, in terms of 1E classes, I don't remember these 1E classes very well. I didn't see them in play much, but it seems like it draws from the Spiritualist, the Medium, and the Shaman. And I don't know them very well. I just, from my quick glances, it seems like it draws from them and how you get to have multiple entities that you draw from. At least one. Someone in chat said this reminded them of the Thaumaturge. The Thaumaturge, they get 1 implement at level 1, and they get to have more. You have 2 apparitions here, but it does feel like you're given this kind of medley of subclasses, if that makes sense. Just like the Kineticist, you can choose to be focused in 1 element with a Kineticist, or 2, and then branch out.
And then branch out, yeah.
And switch between them, and be versatile. So versatility, but and this seems to be a theme with both classes. Whereas the traditional D&D spellcasters, versatility was from having 300 spells. Here it's like you have 2 or 4, 5, whatever the number is, different paths where it's clear what each is.
And it's very clear what makes you strong.
And and you can switch too. You're not hard locked either.
Yep.
So we saw that with the Kineticist. It looks
I think there's probably a healthier way to introduce casters with powerful class features compared to something like Psychic. Because Psychic, it requires a lot of reading to figure out what is a damage spell without duration, to figure out what you can even use your Unleash Psyche on, and then... So I think that's probably going to be better for the game overall than Psychic, if this is a direction that they're going to be taking future classes.
Mm-hmm. It seems like a simpler Psychic.
Yeah. And I am going to compare it to Psychic, because that's the only... Well, one of the few other casters we've seen that's really messed with the core idea of, well, here we have a caster that gets a few slots per rank, and from there they then do this thing, and they have a couple more writer features, a little bit of extra whatever, but it's one of the first things that's really bucked a lot of that. So, I don't know, it's going to be interesting.
We haven't seen much of the Exemplar. It's pretty clear that they would fall under, this is a Martial.
Yes.
However, it seems like their abilities, because of their theming, goes into spell-like abilities. Territory, like Kineticist impulses, like attacking the sun, throwing your weapon and it being a lightning bolt through a line. We saw. Anyway, on Knights of Last Call, Derek was saying new Paizos, calling some of the things he was seeing new Paizo. Apparently, I think he's of the view that they become that 2.0, that there was a kind of an effort to make the game balanced that made it stifling in some points, that they're less concerned about, they're a little more willing to let players feel good now than before.
I still hope that like fighter and cleric are top 2 in their respective category, because I want the most basic generic classes to be mechanically the strongest by a touch, by just a hair,
or easiest to grok.
The easiest to grok, the easiest to play, the most potent. Like, I want the basic stuff to be the most powerful. That's why I like human as an ancestry, because versatile, no matter what. If you don't really know what you want to play, you can play human, get more of your main class, and it's always going to be very, very strong. Because that way you push the game towards the more generic flavor, unless people are playing it for the flavor. Because I don't want to have a party of, oh, we're all demigods, because that's mechanically optimal. So I want that to be avoided. So I like the generic classes being more...
Igor in chat says, if Kineticist is the Avatar experience, Exemplar sounds like the Marvel DC superhero experience. That's an interesting comment.
That's a good way to put it, yeah.
Yeah, like the people with the... Because it doesn't have to be, person in sandals with the tribe. It could be like, person with the cool gadget. Or...
Person with 2 hands
the outfit,
that can grab
the magical
somebody.
outfit. Magical skin tight outfit.
It could become Peppino Pizza.
Yep. I know there's been a lot of rancor in the Pathfinder community recently, but we are blessed in having a company that makes new classes, that puts out new classes, and also has a playtest process where the designers actually interact with us in forums.
Yeah.
So we are blessed. I'm looking at chat.
I have notifications on for Michael on Twitter.
Okay, good.
You get a lot of retweets of Pathfinder art, and then also a lot of notes about like what's happening in Pathfinder design. So very much worth follow if you're on that platform still.
Let's go for a few more minutes. Everyone who hasn't subscribed yet to Swing Whipper's channel or my channel,
go ahead and do that.
Do so.
Yep.
We're still at 466. I'm just gonna read chat. Let's hang out for another 10 minutes.
Hang out for however long we feel like.
Those are my main thoughts.
Yeah.
I think Paizo is listening to the whole caster debate. I think that was
pretty
clear. It's nice to have a company that listens.
Also, I would mention that I'd say that the new Marshal, it feels similar to Champion in a lot of ways to me, because it isn't having its bonus thing that puts it different from all the other Marshals be a bonus to damage, which is what we have seen in Fighter, Feats to Accuracy, Barbarian, Rogue, Investigator, Magus. All those classes all get like a damage boost of some kind on their weapon strips.
Ranger thing.
The one that wouldn't is Champion. And we see then one of the, icons that we have seen, Skin as Hard as Iron, it's giving itself a resistance similar to kind of the neutral evil champion with Selfish Shield. Pretty similar. So I think that it seems like it'll be able to fit naturally into a tanking role, is my thought on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, and it seems like there's more directions that Marshals can go in that we may see.
Yeah. Although I tend to see a lot of Marshals being very DPR focused, to have everything kind of be in that narrow band. So I'm kind of excited to see what they're going to do with the power budget of having Marshal that falls below that band.
Mm-hmm. Igor recommends people look at the 1E classes. I'm going to type in pfsrd.com. That's where you can find first edition stuff. Except that tomorrow everyone's going to be reading the new playtest, actually. But if people want to see apparently the Shaman is inspiration. But also, Michael Sayer was talking about the medium. These all blurred in my mind. I didn't know those classes very well. They all seem to draw from some animal spirit or spirit. Dumbledore.
I know the design team is super aware of the caster debate. I've seen Michael discuss it on Twitter of how very aware Paizo is of the caster debate. And
the kind of AMA
that happened on Reddit was actually delayed to let the caster debate simmer down a little bit. They are extremely aware of it. I cannot overstate how aware of it they are.
Well, yeah, and it was no surprise they showed the blaster spiritualist, and also that
and called special attention to it. It is not coincidental, any of this. No.
Dominic's in chat, Sean. Are we looking at 2 non-combat classes or what? They're always combat. Of Dominic,
they're combat heavy.
They're always about
we're
killing
playing Pathfinder. We're playing a violence game.
Yeah. Ability to kill.
Yeah.
What's your DPR? Cool. I'm thinking of other thoughts and also looking at chat.
Yeah. I'm really excited to have a martial that will, like, be very toolboxy in a very strange way that is maybe lower in damage. Because that's exactly the type of things I want to make a great wrestler out of them. Even if it does not get a numerical bonus, it'll probably be a top-tier wrestler build.
I love how the abilities kind of make you come up with a story for your character.
Yeah,
and also the class. Like, my sandals, you have to explain them. My hair.
Martin, we're talking about DPR, damage per round.
Yeah. It just seems like there's a lot of. I like all of the. It seems like they were drawing from a whole lot of world myths.
Definitely.
And there's a lot of great ideas there. There's going to be things that are new to me. Why is the Exemplar rare? Somebody asked. Because the Exemplar has a divine origin, like something divine.
Picking that class is attuning yourself to the divine in a massive way that other classes normally are not cool with.
Yeah. It's like...
And it's not appropriate for a lot of settings.
Yeah, like a lot of GMs might not want guns in their setting.
Yeah.
Though somebody in chat earlier said, ooh, 4 Exemplars in the same party sounds cool. Some tables might be for that too.
And in that case, go for it. I'm looking at it, and I think that is a class you wouldn't really think, because like Kineticist, you would think, yeah, that could be a monoclass party. But I could see a monoclass party that one working if everybody knows, okay, I'm going to be doing the battle medicine thing, I'm going to be doing this, I'm going to be archetyping here, and they specifically spec into support in other ways.
Mm-hmm.
Although, honestly, if you're playing a monoclass that to play demigods on purpose, use dual class. And have people dual class into cleric, dual class into...
Yeah, dual class. You could be the Exemplar champion.
Exemplar fighter.
Yeah. Exemplar something wrestler.
Exemplar barbarian.
Yeah.
Exemplar barbarian sounds rad.
Oh yeah, my campaigns are going to be my new block starting soon, so they'll get to use the playtest classes. Yep. I think we're wrapping up, you guys. I don't see any other urgent questions. Like, people saw the stream and can see a replay of this stream or just see it on official Paizo on Twitch.
I have some questions to ask you afterward, not live, because it might be spoilers for future plans.
Okay. Also, support my Discord is a great place, great community. If you don't like the drama on Reddit,
it's significantly less on our Discord.
Because I speak my mind, and so people who I disagree with tend to not come to my Discord,
just don't
right?
come in. Or they come in.
So you're not going to see that other side as much. So that has its own advantages.
Yeah.
And also my Patreon, you get early access to most of my videos. I'm probably going to put out my my coverage of these 2 classes as soon as possible because, hit while the iron's hot. However, tomorrow, I am with a few people going to be we're going to be reacting to the actual playtest PDFs. That's going to be Patreon exclusive.
Yep.
And also a way to prep me for the public videos that go out. So yeah, Swing Ripper covers Pathfinder 2E. Subscribe to his channel.
That is true.
Subscribe to my channel.
Waiting for a new mic to come in before I start recording more.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, 423 people. It's been great. I'll see you all later. Goodbye.
Bye, chat.